Understand how and if digital media has affected our print literature, and if so, how that makes it canonical. I started off by exploring under what circumstances might print literature be said to not be impacted by digital media. Now, our class readings have already made it apparent that the digital has significantly altered the way print literature is distributed, as text can now easily be disseminated by being read and posted online for the masses. And our readings on new media point out that this has created a so-called two-way street that is exhibited by new media, where we are able to exercise some sense of control and choice over its distribution, essentially the where, when, and how of media consumption. However, this leaves out the what, otherwise known as the literary content, and what we consider canonical is chiefly based on a piece's literary merit rather than how that piece is distributed. Therefore, if digital literary culture is not significantly impacting the content produced by print media, I would argue that it is still very much a one-way street. You can see this effect in the graph at the top of my archives list, whereas the same information for writers, artists, and publishers are being disseminated downwards through the mediums of Facebook, YouTube, blogs, etc., while the content largely remains unaffected. I found a few examples of this in my own archives list, such as the New York Times and the National Jewish Democratic Council website. Even though they both have a clear presence online, I would still label these as traditional because of the fact that they would still be producing the same content even without the presence of the internet. Also, you can compare the physical New York Times newspaper with its website, Facebook page, and blog, and note how the same content is posted by them across all these different mediums. This effect shows instances of the internet simply acting as a blank media for distribution without significantly affecting the literature itself. However, the majority of my archives reveal that these instances don't necessarily represent the majority of online literature or of print culture. Literary-based websites like Ologies serve as a space for literature but also for networking. PostSecret turns people's deepest secrets into works of art and creates a sense of community, and the meaning behind the original secrets can be transformed as viewers are given the option to share these secrets with their friends via Facebook. YouTube has created its own literature through the artistic value of videos like Yelp, which reworks the message of Ginsberg's original poem Hal into a commentary on cell phones. In doing so, the video similarly indicates the impact of digital culture on the content of print literature. So these examples show that the content of print literature is significantly impacted by digital literary culture. Still, the question remains as to whether this has any effect on what we deem canonical or not. For answers, I had to define what it means to be literature, and when looking into the Encyclopedia Britannica, I found these two quotes which I posted towards the bottom. Literature is 1. Writings having excellence of form or expression and expressing ideas of permanent or universal interest. It also states, literature elevates and transforms experience. Literature also functions more broadly in society as a means of both criticizing and affirming cultural values. I was interested in that both quotes define literature based on a two-part definition. That being that literature must have a form, or artistic value, and a function. This function means that literature is not just meant to be pretty, but also has to somehow reflect or relate to our society and our culture. Seeing as our literature is so largely based on social media and the internet, it would seem that literature, in order to function as literature, must also incorporate these digital characteristics. My graph at the bottom shows how the digital in effect created a new realm in which literary content is affected on all fronts by digital culture, a culture which has served to additionally incorporate the general public, or us, into the process. I strongly believe that the pop culture of today is the history of tomorrow. To me, this means that in time, YouTube won't just be seen as a facet of our current culture, but will also start to function as a historical archive. You can see evidence of this, for instance, in the royal wedding that's coming up. They're going to film it and post it live on YouTube, which we will soon be able to see and look back in history and be able to see. When this time occurs, videos like Lady Gaga's Bad Romance won't just be celebrated by teenagers as a cool music video, but might potentially be held up as a canonical work of art.